is that it is something, like I said, I can't do it for everybody, but what I can do, and for the people that I do it for, they also overshadow, as they say, or overlight thousands of other people. So the plan has always been that, long before this time, of course, that we would have realized that we are spiritual beings sustained by the breath of life, and that's why I use the term breatharians. Breatharians are people that breathe and live on breath, and that's what has been said for many, many years. Man was created, and I mean, I think the book says God breathed into the nostrils of life, and man became a living entity, and that's true. It's the breath that keeps us alive. So the food was a temporary thing that helped to sustain us, not because only because the external mechanisms that were in place before we were so-called kicked out of the garden, they were natural energy grids that sustained the human mechanism.
What happened to them? What, you said they were destroyed. Why were they destroyed? What happened?
Well, there were supposed to be lots of different wars, planetary wars and things. I don't like to get into that part of it because there's so many things happening in the universe until it just gets too complicated to try to give all the reasons why things have happened. But it did happen are you familiar with the story of Atlantis?
Yes, of course.
Okay, well, Atlantis, in the day that they were doing what they were doing, they reached a point where they also went way away from the natural energies of creation. See, when the world was created, it was created in a specific way, and that specific way was centered on what we call love, which in turn, in the electrical term, is a balance. Everything in the world is based on a balance, and from the top down to the bottom. So what they did during the Atlantis time is that, it is a world of many cultures, and that was the purpose of this world, by the way. And in that world, which is the world of also free will. So in that circumstance, people were able to develop different kinds of schemes and plans and religions and, inventions and so forth. But unfortunately, because we didn't have any one guide or one reference point, the points that we had, it's just the individuals didn't know that, they just didn't understand, so they had to learn, and that's what this was all about. So the people that created the energies that were contrary to the natural force of love, at first that energy has an excitement about it, like today. If you get depressed and you eat certain foods or you do certain things, you feel a lot of love from that thing, from that stimulation. But when the confusion, in the getting confused between the stimulation, the feeling of love from stimulation, and the feeling of love from the essence of the Creator, when that became distorted, then the world moved in the opposite direction. So Atlantis was actually destroyed because in developing this new type of electricity, which was the opposite to the natural electricity of the world, it created a destructive mechanism which actually literally destroyed the environment of the Earth, which included the grids. You see what I mean? It was like an atomic explosion.
I got you.
Yeah. But anyway, that did happen, and so what happened? Many of the people on the Earth at that time, they did have a pre-warning, and so they went into the Earth. So we do have civilizations in the Earth, in the physical Earth, that, we have societies in the Earth. I don't know, have you heard of those?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good. Well, you see, and so those societies in the Earth, and they're far advanced, they lived to 20, 30,000 years, they had an opportunity to continue progressing and moving ahead, whereas the people on the outside of the Earth, of course, were all basically destroyed, the so-called civilized. And then everything started over again because there was only a rudimentary type of consciousness on the external side of the Earth. And so that's why all of us on the Earth right now are actually exports from other other systems. But anyway, the whole idea was, I mean, because I didn't know all this stuff when I started out. but so what I'm saying is that's how the grids got destroyed.
Yes.
So I'll have to leave it at that because it just gets too complicated.
Yes, I feel you. Yes.
You see what I mean? Now, what happened is that we are, as you see, we are very close in DNA. I mean, every human being on the planet is pretty almost close, almost identical, except for a few different things that give us different colors and different hairstyles and different shapes of bodies. But we're basically all identical. But at the same time, we're from all different star systems, like the Pleiades or Sirius. A lot of us come from the inner Earth. We come from in the crust of the Earth, and then we come from the center of the Earth. So we're all over the place. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I'm getting a call from somebody else, but I'll just let it go.
All right.
So what I'm saying, what I'm trying to piece together here is that we did have the Earth had its own electrical system, which was based and supported by natural crystals and stones and metals and the atmosphere and all that stuff, and supported by the sun and and the energy from the stars. It's all about light, but they were all the proper combination of energies from the natural world. And so during Atlantis time, like I said before, because it is a world of free will, people did experiment electrical type things or inventions that they thought would make the world better in some cases. And then there were also situations where people did try to enslave other people. Those things were true too. So in all of the ruckus that came about, they just got away from the real truth of how things should work, and we ended up destroying the Earth to an extent. Now, we have extinguished ourselves from the surface of the Earth many times. So what's happened at this time, you've heard, I'm sure you keep hearing the date 2012, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, what they've been trying to do and what all the books have been talking about forever is that one day, well, there will be the second coming of Christ. Of course, we're already here. We are the Christ, you and I and everybody else on the planet. And that simply is a frequency. See, the Christ frequency is a frequency that's based with the same core frequency of gold. That's why they say in heaven the streets will be paved of gold.
Right, I know that one.
Okay, so that's why. There is this world, and the streets are paved with gold because the world is gold. Now, it's funny, I never get any calls. I'm talking with you, and now everybody and his brother's calling. Okay, you're still there, right?
I'm still here.
Okay, because my phone cuts out a lot, and sometimes I'm talking for 20 minutes, there's nobody there.
No, I'm here.
Okay. Well, so what I'm saying is, or what I'm trying to create a picture here, and then maybe you can decipher it later, but the whole thing is that the main purpose, my being here in particular, matter of fact, most people are here for the same reason, is that in this ruckus of destroying the world and all the things that we did in the past with Atlantis in particular, and it left millions of us stranded in our physical bodies. We're all 5D dimensional people. We all are fully conscious beings that came into the world to create a world of the next level. So in other words, we created the world of carbon-based world, okay? Mm-hmm. Now we wanted to create a world that's of a higher caliber, which is a mixture of spirituality and a balance between the light we call spiritual light and the light we call physical light. You see, in the physical world, that we call the 3D world, you would say the ratio between the physical light and the spiritual light would be, let's say, 90% physical and 5% spiritual. Now, in the new world that we're creating, you have an equal amount of the essence on both sides, except that the spiritual side dominates the physical side, you see what I mean, which is the way it's supposed to be. See, in the 3D world, it's the physical that actually is the most powerful effect in that world. Whereas on the On the other side, on the 5D world, it's the mental or the spiritual. I mean the thinking mechanism, which is the dominating side, and that works through the heart center.
So now,